I had many conversations. I have made my decision.
Well, here we are once again, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary people. It's that time where I will be no doubt annoying the majority of people who follow me on my social media feeds as I express joy, excitement, and most likely, given the team that I do follow, frustration. So yes, the F1 2025 season is about to hit. Preseason testing has been done for over a week. And I'm already making a bit of a bold prediction about myself in regards to when I do react to this video, by the end of the year. And I just feel like I'm going to have 0 out of 20 in terms of where I feel people will be in regards to the championship by the end of the year. I mean, apart from the fact that McLaren are fastest, I don't know, there just seems to be a bit of an uncertainty, and it really didn't help that in pre-season testing, conditions weren't exactly ideal for the majority of the teams, so yeah. But that doesn't really mean that they will walk away with the championship, because I think it was this time last year, there was a lot of worry that Max Verstappen was going to dominate the 2024 season. Nowhere close. He did win the championship, but it wasn't the walk in the park that a lot of people worried it was going to be, in regards to he was going to win pretty much every race. So, yeah, but we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. I just don't expect me to get 5 or above like I did for the 2024 season, which I was surprised at. Before we do go into my predictions in regards to where I think each driver will finish by the end of the year, I'm going to do something a little bit different that I haven't done for the previous 2 videos at least. I'm going to have a little subsection. It'll be very, very quick because I know how I am when it comes to these kind of videos. But these are going to be bold predictions that I think are going to happen over the course of the 2025 season. Obviously, it's not in relation to where drivers will finish in the championship, but more so what will happen over the course of this season. Now, it could be a driver transfer move, it could be a circuit cancellation, a driver could get banned, etc., etc. But I thought it would be something a little bit different before we do get into the nitty-gritty. Now, one of those bold predictions is going to be Kimi Antonelli winning his first race in his rookie season. Now, I know that it's not exactly well. I don't know. It's inevitable that he's going to win his first Grand Prix. It's just a matter of when. And Mercedes, as we know in the last season, they can be there on the day. Of course, they could be in no man's land, and there is a lot of talk that Mercedes is looking, a bit better than in previous years. But we'll just have to wait and see, because there has to be a level of trust. And sometimes you think, oh, the Mercedes are going to be in contention for the win this week, and then they just shit the bed really when it comes to qualifying. So we'll just have to wait and see. Antonelli is an incredible, promising kid, and I think he's going to absolutely show why Toto was right in signing him. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure, but I think that he will silence that pressure with his first win in his rookie season. I think it would be the first since Lewis Hamilton, funnily enough, in 2007. I'm also thinking that Esti Besti is potentially going to deliver Haas's first podium. Yeah, he's a good driver, and of course we saw him in the Alpine, him and Gasly absolutely kill it in that mad Brazilian Grand Prix. And it's just a matter of time really before Haas do get on the podium, and they have got 2 promising drivers with Ollie Behrman, who is like Antonelli, a promising young kid who is definitely going to wow the scene, and he definitely did in some of the fill-ins that he did for the 2024 season. But Esteban is a very decent driver as well, and like I said, matter of time before Haas do get their first podium. All it takes is one crazy race, and then it's really up in the air. Like, again, Alpine showed for the Brazilian Grand Prix last year. I'm also expecting the championship to go down to the absolute wire in Abu Dhabi for the end of the year. Obviously, in previous cases, it's not been the case, especially with Max just dominating the scene. And even when McLaren pretty much had the fastest car for the majority of the year, Max still wrapped it up earlier in Vegas. So, but I don't think that's definitely. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we are going to definitely see a fight to the wire, and I think before we do enter the new regulations, it's going to be an absolute spicy battle, with some teams closer, very very close, in regards to the Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren fight. There will be occasions where all four of them, I feel like, will be very very close on the day. And I just definitely feel like, especially in regards to where I feel people will be in my championship predictions, I feel like it's going to be very, very close when we come to the final race of the season. So, yes, let's get into the main event, the championship standings by the end of the year, where I think each driver will finish. Now, of course, like in the previous two prediction videos that I've made, this is just going to include the D20 official drivers that are starting the season, not including any drivers that will come in for like a race because a driver's ill, kind of like how Behrman replaced Sainz, or in any case where Alpine will no doubt want to pull the trigger and swap Colapinto in and boot Doohan out, which is just ridiculous, but it's just Alpine things. There are three guarantees in life: death, taxes, and Alpine just being absolutely shitty when it comes to managing drivers. So, with that said, in last place is Gabriele Bortoleto. That Sauber ain't doing anything. And I think they are putting all of their eggs in the basket for 2026, which is very understandable, because they might be a bit more closer to the front than way at the back. They were at the back last year, and there's not really much going for the Sauber team. And considering Bortoleto's teammate is Hulkenberg, who I put in 19th, again, I think, with Hulkenberg, he is a very decent driver. And Bortoleto will just learn a thing or two with the experienced Hulkenberg. And Hulk will only be able to do so much with the car. I know I said the same thing last year, I think, when it came to the Haas. But Haas, I think, pretty much surprised everyone. But this is not a Haas. This is something completely different. Like I said, with Audi ready to take the reins in 2026, they're not really going to be too fussed about any kind of upgrades that will push them up through the field. Now, in 18th is Jack Doohan. I don't know if I am basing this on the possibility of Alpine just doing what Alpine do best and all of that, because of course we know that there is this whole shebang about Doohan only lasting a few races. At least that seems to be what he's contracted to before they bring in Franco Colapinto. Obviously, Colapinto, when he did replace Sargent last year, he was absolutely doing wonders for the first part of things. But I think Colapinto is promising. It just sucks that it might have to come at the expense of Doohan. And it just sucks that I think this might be... If Doohan does survive the full season, then you know what? That will be a surprise in itself. More so Alpine and how they have... Because they booted Ocon out for the final race. Just the final race. They were that petty on booting Ocon out. In 17th, we got Lance Stroll. Oh, there's enough to say about him, right? Yeah. Look, I might have a bit of another bold prediction here, but this will be Lance's final season in F1. How much more are you willing to put your son through in regards to pain? Remember that shit in Brazil? That was just humiliating, and he doesn't have it anymore. He's lacks motivation. He just is not happy in F1. And the only reason he is in is because of nepotism, because of Daddy Stroll. Now that Adrian Newey is an Aston Martin, he's going to have I feel like he's definitely going to have a tougher influence in terms of, okay, Stroll needs to stroll on to DTM, to whatever. Stroll, yeah, he's not going to do wonders. Yeah, that's why I put him in 17th. So, yeah, there's just nothing positive to say there apart from good luck. So, yeah. In 16th, we've got the new Isaac Hajar, who, of course, will be partnering Yuki at Racing Bulls, who, you know, he does seem to be pretty okay. I mean, to be fair, with the Racing Bulls, it's really hard to decipher where they will probably be. I mean, they might have a good a good way of progressing up the field by the end of the year, but they just don't really seem to be. They just don't really seem to be on it. Compared to last year, I know I kind of did Yuki a little bit dirty last year in terms of thinking that Daniel Ricciardo is gonna, be, what was it, in the top 10, and he was faltering as well. So, and in doing so, I put Yuki at a bit of a disjustice. But I think Hajar is. I mean, it would be for me surprising if he did beat Yuki, because I mean Yuki has been pretty much able to try and go toe to toe with Danny Rick, with Liam Lawson. So yeah, and I think he will. I think with Yuki, he'll give Hajar a good run for his money, but Hajar will do the best he can with a racing ball, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, yeah, he'll do the best he can. So yeah, in 15th we've got Ollie the Bearman. Now this was the area, this to like 11th, where I kind of struggled because I wasn't sure where to put people, because I think the Haas is going to be definitely capable of scoring points. Do I think that they are going to beat the likes of Williams? Maybe not. And they might struggle a bit against, Pierre Gasly. But I mean, they do seem pretty okay. So yeah, and Ollie is a very, very decent driver. He had a few chances last year to show his worth, and he did pretty solid, especially throwing him into the lion's den when it came to replacing Carlos Sainz. So yeah, he did pretty great. But I have learned not to underestimate Haas this year, because I believe I did so both prediction videos that I've done in the past. Last year, I thought that Haas were just going to be at the back of the field. I think a lot of people did as well. And yet, what Komatsu did when it comes to spearheading the Haas team, it just worked wonders. So, but I know Behrman will do his best to again adjust to a full season. So yeah. In 14th, we've got Yuki Tsunoda. Again, Racing Bull. They do look a bit off, as I mentioned with Hajar. And Yuki is a very decent driver. So, yeah, that's really much all I can really say, apart from the fact that I'm just a bit uncertain when it comes to the Racing Bulls. But yeah, I've learned from last year not to underestimate Yuki. I think I put him 14th last year as well, but it doesn't look as solid as the 2024 car. Anything can happen, and Yuki has got the tools to, like, he's a very, very neat driver on the day. But it will be a bit more challenging this year to be there within the points, especially with what seems to be the resurgence of Williams, with them contending with Haas as well, even throwing Gasly and hopefully Doohan. I know Doohan is way down there, but again, I think that's like a conflict of is he going to be staying for the full season? 13th? I've got Fernando Alonso. Yeah, ambitious, because that Aston Martin looks terrible. And we know that Aston Martin have that tendency to just fall off completely when it comes to especially the latter part of the season. But they have Newey now. I know, obviously, he's mainly focusing on the 2026 car. I don't know if he's going to be able to, nudge the 2025 Challenger a little. So, yeah. But it's not going to be game changing. And Alonso, obviously, one of the best in the field, I'd still say. And he's going to try and he's going to try to put Aston Martin in places where it really shouldn't be. I've got Esteban Ocon. And how blessed must he feel, free from the chains of the Alpine. He is able to be taken seriously, I would say, because it did seem like Alpine just, threw him to the side, really. Especially when news broke that he was not going to be, a part of the 2025 lineup. So, yeah. But again, Alpine just, again, the free certainties and live death taxes and Alpine treating their drivers like shit. So, I mean, they did with Piastri, they did with Ocon. It seems like they're doing so with Doohan. And Ocon is a very, very decent driver. He was, of course, side by side with Gasly in that chaotic Brazilian Grand Prix. And he has, I guess, a lot less pressure in that Haas, really. And he could be a very good mentor to Behrman. I feel like, in terms of team battles, Williams and Haas are definitely going to be fighting over, the best of the rest standings, I feel. So, yeah. And in 11th, we got Alex Albon. Williams look pretty neat. And when it comes to sorting out the top 10, it was very, very hard. It's not like 11th is a bad place for Albon. So, yeah. But, yeah, Williams I don't know, there's a lot of confidence when it comes to, Albon. So, especially since they've had, or Williams, should I say. But I feel like with Albon, it's going to be a bit interesting considering he's had lackluster teammates in the past with Sargent, with Latifi. And we saw that Colapinto really gave him a good go at times. And Sainz will definitely give him a good go, considering Sainz is a phenomenal driver. But with that Williams, and considering these last few years have been a bit iffy for them, I feel like this is going to be a bit of an optimistic start to, 2000, in terms of their hopes to being right up the front in 2026. This is, like I said, 11th is not bad. But it's just, you've got so many drivers, and I just feel like he's not going to get the better of Sainz, but I feel like it's not going to be like a role reversal situation where, Albon was miles ahead of Sargent and Latifi, and it's how the turntables where Sainz is, miles ahead of Albon. Albon and Sainz will be an absolute unit when it comes to their teamwork and helping Williams become a very, very fantastic midfield car. So, yeah. In 10th, I've got Gasly. Now, with Alpine, there are positive vibes with the test and all of that. So Gasly, again, he was there when it came to wild races, and Gasly's a phenomenal driver. If there's going to be someone who's going to score a lot of points when it comes to Alpine, it's going to be Gasly. So, yeah. But yeah, I feel like with Gasly, whilst Haas and Williams have this stance going on, Gasly's going to creep in there. And that little bit of bickering might allow Gasly to score a good chunk of points when it comes to the course of the season. So in 9th, we've got Carlos Sainz. I think him and Charles were great teammates. They were really, really great, at times. And Sainz can be a very, very decent driver, as, we've seen at his time with Ferrari. Like I said, when it comes to the Williams car, they do have a lot of confidence. They are no longer a team that's doomed at the very, very back and all of that. And now they come into 2025 with two strong drivers rather than one who is lackluster and Albon picking, like having to carry the team, if anything. Now, I think that Sainz is going to definitely get the better of Albon. I don't think it's going to be a complete dominance, but again, that's why I think that Williams are going to have a fantastic year. If we have a car that is pretty decent, and testing seems to be very, very neat. For the Williams team, his time in Ferrari has really made. I think that has definitely made him stood out. I mean, obviously he got his first win there, and whatnot, but he's put in some solid performances, and now he is kind of locked in regards to the expectation. Oh, Sainz is going to absolutely shine when it comes to Williams. So I think that in terms of the best of the rest for the Drivers' Championship, Sainz is going to ace this. So that's who I've got in P9. It's the top 8 for the Drivers' Championship. So who's in 8th? I've got Liam Lawson, who of course is replacing Sergio Perez. Now, let's not confuse this by saying, well, why did we replace Perez if that is definitely going to be the case for Lawson if he's 8th? Now, the Red Bull, they don't look the best car. Some are saying it's the third best car of the field. And whereas Max is going to be obviously the driver who's going to stand tall in the Red Bull pecking order, it's not. I don't think Lawson is going to be as disastrous as Perez. It's just that with 4 competitive teams, someone's got to fill in that 8th spot. He's going to get adjusted. He's going to learn from Max, and I think that 8th. It's not too damaging as you might think. In 7th, we've got Kimi Antonelli, the new kid on the block, the new hope for Mercedes, maybe. Of course, filling in the seat for Lewis Hamilton, who of course joined Ferrari. Again, and I have put him as a potential winner for this season, because I think the kid's amazing. He's incredible. He's definitely going to be world champion material one day. I can definitely see it. But it also, of course, like in terms of this season in particular, let's see where things go with the Mercedes. I think Kimi is going to be an absolute, I know he had quite a few doubters when he had that spin in Monza. No, I know that wasn't ideal, but people just think that's the be-all, end-all, right? So, Kimi has a lot of talent, and he's going to be absolutely amazing when it comes to showing the world why Toto picked him. And he was picked for a reason, and he's going to showcase that. In 6th, I've got George Russell. Again, let's see how the Mercedes go, because with the Bahrain test, yeah, it was cold, and that does play in the strengths of the Mercedes. And I don't fully trust the Mercedes at the minute. I mean, that's it. Like I said, Russell, he knows how things seem to be in terms of, well, previous years I didn't really feel a good groove with the car. This year feels a little bit different. So, I mean, I could take his word for it, but when you've also got to consider Ferrari and McLaren as well as Verstappen, again, like when it comes to Lawson in 8th, someone's got to fill in that 6th position, and I don't really have too much confidence in Mercedes just yet. I mean, they could surprise us, and they could not just excel in the cold, but they will also they will not be nowhere at certain weekends, and then up the front at other weekends, because that was the problem. In 5th, we've got Oscar Piastri. It does. Now, this is where I was struggling again when it comes to. I was struggling with a lot of positions, but when you consider the top 5, I kept switching positions because I'm like, I don't know, because the McLaren fastest car for the majority of last year. They seem to be the fastest car when it comes to preseason testing. And again, it's a long calendar. There might be races where McLaren might be the second fastest car. Again, I know I sound like I'm repeating myself when it comes to Russell and Lawson, but someone's got to fill in that fifth place when you've got to consider the likes of, well, the names who haven't been mentioned yet. And it's not to say that Piastri is going to have a bad season. He's done really, really great. Of course, there are still a few things that he does need to work on, but yeah, I think Piastri will just be in fifth. It's not like there's going to be a big gap between the top four and then fifth. It's just going to be a bit more difficult to try and leapfrog who I've got in fourth, Lewis Hamilton. Oh yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who think that Charles is going to get humbled or whatever because Lewis, 7-time world champion and all of that. And, a lot of people would agree that he is the undisputed GOAT in the Formula One world. Leclerc isn't exactly going to be an easy challenge. Nor is, Norris, Verstappen, and like I said, I guess even Piastri as well. And I'm not really too sure about where the Ferrari might be ultimately, but again, as well, there is some unknowns about it. I know that if he wins at Italy, I'm kind of not going to hear the end of it because I'm going with my mum to the Monza Grand Prix, and yeah, so but yeah, I think with Lewis, it will be a little bit challenging maybe to adjust. I mean, to be fair, he has said he has acclimatized a lot better to the Ferrari than he did to the Mercedes, seemingly, and he just seems like at home when it comes to like you see all of the behind the scenes stuff and just the general vibe. It's like, I don't know. I've seen a few comments saying he looks a lot happier than he has been in the last few years. I agree with that. Now, in third, here we go. And I'm going to leave the top two anonymous. I'm including a little soundbite. Because, yeah. But in third, because we're getting into the top three of the championship now. And it's going to be... This is where... people might be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because I've gone for Max Verstappen in third. There. I've said it. He is not winning 5. He is not going to... We're not going to have him win the championship by round 20 or whatever. Again, I think this is going to go down to the wire. Now, this is it, though. I am not saying that Max is going to be out of title contention or anything like that by putting him third, that he has no chances of winning the championship. I think it might be a 3-way, maybe 4-way battle. And this does sound like pure hopium. This is very bold. But by the time the final race does come around, I'm kind of seeing in my head a 4-way battle potentially for the championship. I mean, Max... We know what Max is like, and he's going to continue to drive the way he does, and he's going to try and... we know that, especially with last year, he was definitely not happy with certain directions with the car. And there were just times where he just was completely fed up. And I think Red Bull might have fixed a few issues, but they are not the top dog anymore. I think it will be very, very close. With the top 3 in mind. But when all is said and done, he might just be like 1 point off second. So yeah. Yeah, that's where I've gone for where Verstappen's gonna be. So yeah. Now the big one. I thought long and hard about this. To the point where I wasn't even sure if putting Max third was right in my head. But it only comes down to 2. And, yeah. Who I've got for the 2025 World Champion is
They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one. His home run, Charles Leclerc, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
I know. Like, there are going to be some people who are going to be like, what did you expect? Of course he's going to put Charles there and all of that. There are going to be some people like, what the hell is wrong with you? The McLaren is clearly the fastest car on the grid so far. And I've even just mentioned about there are bits of uncertainties when it comes to the Ferrari and all of that. So, even race simulations and all of that when it comes to the bar rate don't look pretty promising. But, like I said, when it comes to the beginning of this video and when it comes to the 2024 season, Max, on paper, should have dominated every race. Didn't even come close. And Lando isn't Max. He is far from Max. I know people joke about the fact that he bottles stuff and all of that. He got his win. He did get his win. And, you know, they've extended that to he's bottled the championship and all of that. So, yeah. But that's why I feel like there is a bit more susceptibility. Now, I'm not saying Charles is perfect, because that is far from the case. But I feel like, again, the way I see in my head, it's going to go down, absolutely down to the wire. There was that terrible period in the summer that some people have said that kind of costed Leclerc when it came to the Drivers' Championship, because him and Norris were very close. Despite the fact that McLaren, for the majority of the time, had the fastest car on paper. So, yeah. And I do feel like Ferrari might have a little bit more something, between pre-season testing and Australia, I think they might have something. My head is saying that it will go down to the wire. It will go down to the wire. My heart is wanting Leclerc to win the championship, even if it's by 1 point, 2 points. So yeah. And Leclerc had his best season as well last year. I will not have any arguments by saying, actually, he had his best season. No, 2024 was his best season by a country mile. And that's not just including the iconic wins at Monaco and Monza. I'm just prepared for the prospect that by December 2025, I'm going to look back on this video and be like, Liam, you shouldn't have caved and put Leclerc as world champion. Wouldn't necessarily be surprised if, looking back at this by the end of this year, I that would be the case, and putting Leclerc first instead of Norris was a bit of a mistake. But isn't that the fun of predictions, though? Right? So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. But also, I need to rank the teams as well. I know this is a long video. I think this is longer than what I did last year as well. But there's a lot to talk about when it comes to F1. So, in 10th, I don't think I need to say anything. In 9th, I've got Racing Bulls. Not giving me a lot of confidence. In 8th, and just 8th, I've got Aston Martin. In 7th, I've got Alpine. In 6th, I've got Haas. In 5th, I've got Williams. 4th, Mercedes. 3rd, Red Bull. 2nd, McLaren. 1st, Ferrari. I'm going for the double. I know the popular phrase for Ferrari is, this is our year, but Leclerc and Hamilton. Surely we've got to win one championship. We came so close, of course, last year. Now, bearing in mind we don't have a terrible summer like we did this past year, we might be able to rectify missing out on the championship. Who knows? So, but we'll just have to wait and see. How it's a long season. If it does go down to the wire, though, I'm just going to be on the edge of my seat because it will be between Leclerc, Norris, and Verstappen. So yeah, and maybe Hamilton. I say maybe. So yeah, but I'm just going to be absolutely stressed if it does go that way. But those were my predictions. So we'll just have to wait and see how things fare when it comes to next season, because or this season, should I say? Because it should be very exciting. Last year was really exciting, and with this year being the final year for these regulations, you kind of expect the excitement to just to maybe even be more so than it was in 2024. Who knows? So I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to enjoy looking like a complete idiot in, what is it, 9 months, 10 months? Yeah. So, should be fun. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys take good care of yourselves. And until the next time, toodles!